It's Mock Draft Monday, and CBS Sports has a new 2025 NFL mock draft for us to go over. And the Carolina Panthers are picking first overall yet again, but they're going with an edge this time. We're going to talk about this wild mock and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a senior draft analyst, and thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. And you know I got to kick this intro to Mr. LSU himself, Keith Sanchez. You can find and follow him on X at TheTalentCode. You talk to him, baby.
What's up, Locked On family? Let's get locked in. This is Keith Sanchez, 2019 national champ, man, on the other side to this dynamic duo that we like to call the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to start this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. DP, it is Mock Draft Monday. Yes, we get to go over the mock draft, man. We're going to have a lot of fun with this situation, man. But before we get started, man, why don't you hit him with our title sponsor?
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. New customers get $200 back in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. All right, guys, you know the drill. We got to go over Rob Rang's from CBS Sports. Latest mock he dropped a couple weeks ago. With the first overall pick, the Carolina Panthers select JT Tuimoloau, edge rusher from Ohio State. With the second pick, the New England Patriots select Travis Hunter, cornerback/wide receiver from Colorado. At pick number 3, the Denver Broncos select Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. With the fourth pick, the Washington Commanders select Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan. With the fifth pick, the Tennessee Titans select Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver from Ohio State. With the sixth pick, the New York Giants select Quinn Ewers, quarterback out of Texas. With the seventh pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle from Texas. With the eighth pick, the Minnesota Vikings select Nick Scorton, edge rusher from Texas A&M. With the ninth pick, the Las Vegas Raiders select Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. And with the 10th pick, the New Orleans Saints select Ollie Gordon the second. Keith, you got to start at the top.
Yeah.
How do we feel about the Panthers being at 1? And instead of like trading down with a QB needy team, getting the King's ransom, setting themselves up, and still being able to get an edge in a really talented edge group, they select JT Tuimoloau first overall. Keith, if this were to happen, what would be your reaction to this?
I think not executing a trade here would be almost like a failure, right, for the Carolina Panthers, because we've seen how having a quarterback, or what you believe to be a franchise quarterback, right, and still being able to trade out of that number 1 overall pick, how that sets you up for the future, right, and when it comes in terms of building a team. And yeah, I don't get it. And then also too, it seems like the Panthers, and I can't remember if this is a new general manager or not, but it seems like they've worked backwards to get themselves in the same exact position, meaning that they traded away DJ Moore, right? But then they had to draft a wide receiver. Then they traded away Brian Burns, and then now they got to draft the edge rusher. Like I don't understand it. And you're not even 100% sure that the two guys, the veterans that you let go, that the two guys you drafted are that much better. You kind of get what I'm saying? Like, and it's just it's a wild is the conversation, DP. I think it's a wild situation. I want to go to pick number 2 though, and I want to ask you with the New England Patriots, because we talked about Travis Hunter as a cornerback, we talked about him as a wide receiver. With the New England Patriots, what position do you want him to play?
I mean, so they
need wide receivers.
Yeah, they need wide receiver. You know what I mean? Because they have Gonzo. They have not Jack Jones, but they have another corner that they drafted a couple years ago, and Alex Austin. So I think cornerback should be fine for them. If you're drafting Travis Hunter at 2 especially the year after selecting Javon Baker and Jalen Polk, round 2 and then round 4. I think you add Travis Hunter to that, and Drake May has himself a really good young receiving core to throw the ball to. You know what I mean? And like I said, I gave him a Pro Bowl grade, a round 1 Pro Bowl grade at receiver, and I think that his athleticism, his agility, the ball skills, the route running, everything he brings to the table will absolutely mesh with Drake May and give him that explosive threat down the field. While I think Polk could be more of the possession guy, and then Baker is a kind of do it all guy along with Travis Hunter. So no, I think this would not be a bad situation. But if you take him at 2, if you're New England, I think it's got to be a receiver. I think it has to be a receiver. But Keith, I want to keep scrolling here. And okay, Tennessee is a little interesting, right? Not
This
Lucas Burton,
one, yeah,
not Tor McMillan. Is it Meke Buka as not? Oh, I don't know. I guess wide receiver 2 in a sense.
yeah, I guess you go 1.5 in this situation,
Right.
right? He's wide receiver 1.5. But with all of the talent that Tennessee has brought in the wide receiver room, is this even necessary at this point,
No
right?
O-line,
Especially,
by the way.
yeah, and then especially with what we've seen from Emeka Buka in the past, I think this is a projection, right? There's a reason why he went back, because he wasn't going to be a top 10 pick. So I think this is projecting him forward. But DP even picked number 6, the New York Giants,
Yeah.
going Quinn Ewers. How do you feel about this?
I don't like it. I do not like this at all, man. I don't think I think Quinn's a good player, but at the same time, I think this is projection because Quinn would have to rebound after the kind of tumultuous season he had last year. Quinn got lit up this past draft season. He wasn't even in the draft class. People were lighting him up because they're watching Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell. They're like, man, Quinn is not playing consistent football in terms of accuracy, decision making, ball placement. But if he's consistent, I think he can work himself as a top 15 pick. But I don't know how you have him over Carson Beck and Shedeur Sanders, even Jalen Milroe right now because of the upside of Milroe. I just that is a little too rich for me, Keith. A little too rich for me. I want to. There's a couple picks here, man. That I had to. Oh yeah, I love Shedeur to the Vegas Raiders with Antonio Pierce. I absolutely love that. I think that's a great fit, especially with what they're building over there. And there's been some rumblings. I read last week, Keith, that there's some tension, I guess, with Devontae Adams, in the offense that they're in, how the offense is looking in OTAs and mini camp and stuff like that. I'm like, hey,
Is that because they need a quarterback? Is that why the offense isn't looking great?
Probably. This is the defense has had, has stacked some success against them for what I was reading on the good old Twitter/X. So, hey man, just don't shoot the messenger, guys. Raiders Nation, don't shoot the messenger. But keep the 10th pick. You are in the backyard of the Saints. Ollie to see a running back top 10, Keith. I love it as a running back guy. I absolutely love it. But you have Kendre Miller. Don't get me wrong. I do think that Ollie Gordon's a better prospect, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But is running back, especially with the offensive line issues that we're heading into the season with, like question marks there and different things, like, do you think running back would be the right position to go top 10 for?
Not so. Maybe if it was another team, but not this team. And the reason why is because of the Alvin Kamara / and what you be doing if you draft Ollie Gordon. That means I'm assuming, especially top 10, right? You're offloading Alvin Kamara, and then secondly, you're cutting your losses with Kendre Miller, which I was not as high on Kendre, right? I think I had a 5th, 6th round grade on him. So I think it's a lot of cutting your losses, and then also, like you said, man, they can use. Honestly, we didn't see Teodoro McMillan go yet. That he would be great in this situation, pairing him up with Chris Olave and then Rashid Shaheed. And if you keep Kamara, then the other position, right? Who knows what Derek Carr is going to do? And if you're picking top 10, Carson Beck didn't come off the board yet. Carson Beck would be a good situation to go ahead and draft.
Spencer Rattler time, Keith.
Oh yeah, I
Spencer
forgot
Rattler
about that. You know
season.
what? I'm gonna hold that one, DP. I'm gonna hold that one because I'm pulling for Spencer Rattler down here in Bayou Nation. So I'm really pulling for Spencer. I think he can get the job done. But outside of quarterback, yes, it's still the big wide receiver, right? You can go another cornerback. There's edge rusher they can address again. There are a lot of different positions, DP, that they could go here. I think the Teodoro McMillan is like a chef's kiss type of situation. To pair with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, you finally have that big body wide receiver that can act as your X, and then you can let Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed cook on the outside.
Yeah, that's a really good point because I didn't realize they do need a big body receiver. I love Ollie Gordon, and I think he could be. He's absolutely in that discussion for RB1. He's probably a Heisman candidate, truthfully, for
100%.
Oklahoma State. But yeah, top 10 to the Saints. Yeah, that's not a good team fit because it's just then it starts moving a lot of pieces around, and you're not really improving the roster in the positions that you need greater than running back.
Yeah, and I think it's the fact that Alvin Kamara hasn't played bad football. Like the offense has been bad, the quarterback has been bad. Alvin Kamara is not bad. So I think that's the situation. So DP, let's keep this thing going and flowing. And you know what we do, man. The next 10 picks are up next, man. We're going picks 11 through 20 of this most recent 2025 NFL mock draft.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and so much more. And you can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 that you can bet on everything from Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the ballpark. And guys, right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook app for college football, you can check and go ahead and start putting in bets for the Heisman Trophy winners. Carson Beck leads the odds with plus 750. But if you want to make a big splash, Jalen Milroe is at plus 1,500. And guys, even for the national championship game, Georgia's leading the pack with plus 300. So all you need to do is visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and add a big win to your summer bucket list. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and add a big win to your summer bucket list because FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. All right, picks 11 through 20. With the 11th pick, the Seattle Seahawks select Deon Walker, defensive tackle from Kentucky. With the 12th pick, the Indianapolis Colts select Will Campbell, offensive tackle out of LSU. With the 13th pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Donovan Jackson, offensive guard out of Ohio State. With the 14th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Luther Burden III, wide receiver from Missouri. With the 15th pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select James Pierce Jr., edge rusher from Tennessee. With the 16th pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Princely Umami Malin, edge rusher from Mississippi. And with the 17th pick, the Chicago Bears select Johnny Cornelius, offensive tackle from Oregon. With the 18th pick, the Cleveland Browns select Jalen Milroe, quarterback out of Alabama. With the 19th pick, the Los Angeles Rams select Small Mondon Jr., inside linebacker out of Georgia. And then with the 20th pick, the New York Jets select Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. Keith, I know we got to start right here at 18.
Didn't have to scroll that far.
Didn't have to go far, Keith. Just go a little bit up, a little bit north. And we're going north to Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns selecting 18th overall and being able to get Jalen Milroe, right? Because if they're selecting 18th means they missed the playoffs and means that the experiment of Deshaun Watson, which has not been fruitful for them, it's actually been fruitless, continues to be fruitless. And then you go and get Jalen Milroe. Now the question is, okay, is Kevin Stefanski still the head coach, right? Because I think Kevin Stefanski with a Jalen Milroe and Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore and they drafted Jamari Thrash. They have David Njoku. Like, we got to see what happens when Nick Chubb comes back from that gruesome knee injury, if he returns to being the same guy. But he's also on the expiring contract, if I remember correctly. I think this could be a hit for Cleveland if you can get Jalen Milroe at 18. Because I'm also expecting and projecting that we're going to see some legit growth from him as a passer in the pocket. And just kind of watching some of his videos from this offseason, mechanics look better. Like he even the spring game, like looked like a different quarterback throwing the ball in terms of accuracy and ball placement, right? So if that factors of that follows into the season and goes all the way through, I'd be shocked if he fell to 18th, Keith. You know what I mean? Like I'd be shocked if Jalen Milroe fell here. But if the Browns walked away with Jalen Milroe, Keith, what would be your reaction to this?
Mm, I will have a lot of reactions, DP, because I think it'll be interesting. So the conversation is this: this is a team that's ready to win now. Can you
Mhm.
insert Jalen Milroe with the Cleveland Browns and with because there's a lot of fragile pieces, right? I think Amari Cooper is a fragile situation. Jerry Judy is a fragile situation. And not saying they're fragile people, but when I'm talking about at this point in their career, right? Are they trying to stick around for another
Yeah,
2 years to wait till this quarterback develops to be like, hey, we're playoff ready, right? And it's a lot of players. It's this offensive line. It's the running back situation with Nick Chubb. I can't remember if they brought Kareem Hunt back again for this year or no Kareem Hunt. So Nick Chubb coming off the gruesome injury, right? I think it's an interesting situation where would this be something where they're trying to turn the page because DP, you go pound for pound, you go talent for talent. This is one of the most talented rosters, right? When we come out with our NFL power rankings, and I think you had the Cleveland Browns, I believe.
yep,
They're one of the most talented teams. I know they're gonna rank high for you because you just look at them position group for position group. This team is loaded, and so putting a rookie quarterback, I like Jalen Milroe and what he can do. I just wonder, and I always talk about this, DP, like the quarterback's timeline matching up with the rest of the team's timeline, and can you get that to kind of fit to be able to not just make the playoffs, right? Because I think they made the playoffs last year, but to
yeah.
win a Super Bowl, everything has to kind of somewhat be in sync.
No, 100%. And I think after seeing Joe Flacco step in, come off the bench, off the couch, and lead them to the playoffs and stuff like that. Like they're going to have to make that change. I like I said, it just depends on Judy's there for another 3. He's there. He signed a 3-year contract extension, right? Or 2, yeah, 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cooper's got maybe a year or 2 left. You know what I'm saying? So like you said, it's like guys don't want to keep losing; they want to win. Now it's all depends, like I said, who's the head coach? Is it Stefanski? I think if you design the offense around Milroe and his strengths, you could still, especially with that defense, get the run game going. Whoever's in the backfield with his athleticism and running ability, that RPO, that read option game, he's going to help that run game a lot. But it just was interesting to see that's where he landed. And again, I don't think Carson Beck is off the board. This is kind of weird. What's going on?
Yep, and DP, I'll say this, man. If I have to lose, I'd rather lose in Miami than lose in Cleveland, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get
Facts.
out of there. Let me lose in LA, let me lose in Dallas or Houston, then lose in Cleveland.
Then losing Cleveland, 100%. 14th, Keith, the 14th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers in this 2025 way too early mock draft select another wide receiver, right? So last year, this past draft in 2024, they selected Roman Wilson round 2 or 3, and now you
Yeah, I
get
think
Luther
third.
Burden to go with Roman Wilson and then George Pickens. How do you feel about this?
I don't mind it because both Luther and Roman are versatile. That my initial thought was, okay, is this duplicate skill sets, right? With him and
Mhm.
Roman. But I don't mind the fact that they're interchangeable pieces. And because George is specific in what he does, right? Like he provides this for you. I think maybe having two versatile pieces, versatile alignment pieces can actually help. Did Teodoro McMillan come off the board yet? Was he at pick 12 or
Mm,
11? I don't know if we went past that.
I don't think he came off the board.
Okay, Carson Beck and Tito McMillan are not a part of this mock draft. I don't understand how those guys are not in the top 20.
Me
Because
either.
the Pittsburgh Steelers are another situation that they can go ahead and go for it, right? Just you can add a guy like that, and then now you have a 6'4" body, big contested catch guy. Then you have George Pickens, right? And then now you have Roman Wilson. Now that's a wide receiver core that you can win with and do a lot of different things with.
And with Pickens, I read, from I think some of the minicamp notes from last week. that he told, I think he told reporters or whatnot, someone said in the locker room that he's supposed to be seeing more snaps in the slot this year. Like he's excited about it. Like he's like, yeah, I love playing outside. I love playing in the slot just as much as playing outside. So you add a Tatori McMillan who could play that traditional X. Roman Wilson can play the X, play the Z or the slot, and then of course George Pickens can play all three. And now you give whoever's at quarterback such a versatile alignment, positional versatility, but also versatile skill sets to be able to throw the ball to and win with. Not get me wrong, like you still get that to an extent with Luther Burden as well. You know what I mean? But it's just a different level when you can stash in place a Tator McMillan as your true X, as that Mike Evans, as we talked about on Friday, Keith, that X receiver, and then you can just move Rome and Pickens and George Pickens around. I think you can get a lot out of that. But one last one that I think I want to. Oh, the Jets getting Colston Loveland. See, because I was supposed to talk. We can talk about Colston Loveland on Tuesday's show, Keith, when we open the Scout Notebook back. I was going to do it Friday, but I was like, nah, Keith, you got some big name guys I want to hear about. So I pushed Colston Loveland back because I want to give him the moment, his moment, because he's a really good player. If Aaron Rodgers is still there, which I don't know, I don't know what's going to happen to this man, but if he's still there, this right here, I love Colston Loveland, Garrett Wilson. I think they drafted Malachi Corley, Breece Hall. Like, I absolutely love this fit, Keith. I think it could be a really explosive fit for this offense.
Yeah, I have to check him out, man. But you're talking about adding another piece, right? Another offensive piece.
6'5", 250.
Dominate the middle of the field. And I can't remember if Mike Williams signed a 1-year contract or a 2-year contract, but you add him to that situation too. Could definitely be an explosive and be a fun situation for the New York Jets, adding more size and another target for Aaron Rodgers. But DP, let's go ahead and wrap this mock draft up with picks 21 through 32. My favorite picks of the draft. We're talking about adding picks to playoff teams and see what we have going on here.
Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Picks 21 through 32. The Atlanta Falcons with the 21st pick select Mykel Williams, defensive lineman from Georgia. With the 22nd pick, the Miami Dolphins select Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame. With the 23rd pick, the Green Bay Packers select Blake Miller, offensive tackle out of Clemson. With the 24th pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select Colin Oliver, linebacker out of Oklahoma State. With the 25th pick, the Houston Texans select Harold Perkins, edge rusher out of LSU. With the 26th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select Danny Stutzman, linebacker out of Oklahoma. With the 27th pick, the Buffalo Bills select Denzel Burke, cornerback from Ohio State. With the 28th pick, the Detroit Lions select Abdul Carter, edge rusher from Penn State. With the 29th pick, the Cincinnati Bengals select Jonah Monheim, offensive lineman from USC. With the 30th pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Ashton Gillette, edge rusher from Louisville. With the 31st pick, the Kansas City Chiefs select Quinshon Judkins, running back out of Ohio State. And with the 32nd pick, the San Francisco 49ers select Tyler Booker, guard from Alabama. Keith, real quick, I got to go up to Detroit. If we let this happen, it's
a lot, DP. It's a lot to where I'm trying to find my bearings because I'm actually in shock. And this may be one of the most shocking mock drafts that I've seen. But go ahead, go with the Detroit Lions. I have a lot to say. I don't even know if I have enough time to get it out.
to pair Abdul Carter, who's moving from linebacker to full-time edge, a good athlete, first of explosiveness, to pair him with Aiden Hutchinson and DJ Reader and this Aaron Glenn and this Rakestraw and Terrion Arnold, Brian Branch. Like, this is how you win. This is how you get to the Super Bowl and win it. Like, Jack Campbell. Like, this is how you get to the Super Bowl and win it, Keith. You go and get another guy that's going to help you collapse both sides of the pocket, force quarterbacks to step up into the teeth of your defensive line. There's no room to exit. You got two high motor Big Ten rushers from two rival schools that's going to be able to team up and get after your quarterback. JJ McCarthy, Caleb Williams, Um, man, Jordan Love. Good luck, fellas, if this happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, good luck, because dropping back 40 times a game against that pass rush is not going to be fun at all.
No, it's not DP, and it'll be wild if Abdul Carter falls that far. Especially what we projected him to do, being able to play well. That, like you talking about being able to wreak havoc. Then just scrolling up some, I think it was somewhere in that pick 24 to 27 range. The combination of, where is it? Harold Perkins to the Texans, which I don't mind finding interesting, and then Colin Oliver. I think this is a big projection right here. I had fourth-ish round grade on Colin Oliver, as a player, so I think that's a big projection. And I think both of those guys, and I wonder if guy who did this mock draft, because Colin Oliver is an edge rusher, and then Harold Perkins is a hybrid edge rusher too. So I wonder if that's just more about him making a statement that he likes Colin Oliver more than he likes Harold Perkins as a player, which, could be an interesting discussion. And if that's the case, then I don't foresee them being first rounders, right? I kind of see it potentially being the other way. But if you want to scroll up real quick, another situation, what did I think was interesting? Was that 21? DP, I'm surprised you didn't lose your mind at pick 21.
I contained myself, Keith. I kept myself together.
I'm surprised you didn't lose your mind with the Atlanta Falcons going with another interior defensive lineman, Michael Williams, DP. I know how you feel about edge rushers in Atlanta, but Atlanta doesn't feel the same way about edge rushers, DP.
Keith, and that's probably why they have not made the playoffs in quite some time. Because at some point you got to get after the quarterback. I don't care if it's Bryce, Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield, and not only that, like if you win your division, okay, you got to deal with Brock Purdy, you got to deal with Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts, yep.
Like there's Jared Goff, Jordan Love. Like we don't know what Caleb Williams, if he makes the playoffs, if Jaden Daniels gets the Commanders to the postseason, you got to deal with some good young quarterbacks in the NFC. And if you're not getting after them, what is the point? Like I get putting him especially alongside like Grady Jarrett and stuff, and preparing for the future. It's cool, but still yet you got Rook last year, you got Braylon Trice. You know what I'm saying? They drafted another interior defensive lineman this past draft. Like, so yeah. Oh, Brandon Dorless. Brandon Dorless was like more of a 3 tech.
Who's a hybrid player like Michael Williams.
So yeah, no, whoever's if Terry Fontenot's still in the seat as the GM, I don't think he will be after this draft. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just a very, especially when you could, man, there's other edge rushers you can get, but I got to go 31 to see 2 running backs in the first round. Man, it gives me flashbacks to 2023, Keith. Even though it wasn't too long ago. But for the Kansas City Chiefs, who are the darlings of the league, they're the kings right now. For teams to allow the Kansas City Chiefs and Pat Mahomes to get Quinshon Judkins to be their new RB1 is highway robbery. And it's like, you know what? I don't really care about receivers as much if we can run the ball and run it effectively. And Quinshon Judkins, who I'll have a profile in the next couple of days, to present here on the pod. I think this right here is one of those moves where the other 31 GMs are just like, man, we're never getting rid of these guys, are we? It was like, probably not. You know what I mean? Like
But DP, I'm gonna wrap this up with this. They can still go wide receiver and get a very talented wide receiver. Because you want to know why? You want to know who hasn't been drafted yet? Teodoro McMillan, baby. He still has not come off the board.
No Carson Beck either, by the way.
And no Carson Beck in this draft. So if y'all talking about
Rob rang, he rang some bells in this one. I can tell you that much.
2025 NFL mock draft. You're talking about kicking off mock draft season for the 2025 NFL draft conversation, right? This was a mind-blowing one to get it started, man. This is how you get it started. But I want to say shout out to Everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. Listen, I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. Listen, we wrapped this mock draft up, man. Y'all let us know. What was your craziest pick? Which selection did you like? Which selection did you dislike? But that was definitely a fun one right there. And like we always like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot for being our everydayers. On tomorrow's show, like I said earlier, Colston Loveland, tight end 1 for the 2025 NFL draft season from those Michigan Wolverines. I'm gonna get into his draft profile on tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.